Following is a demonstration highlighting the technical document change request process utilizing Adobe's AEM solution. So this demonstration will walk through the change request process for updating technical manuals and technical documentation. It will utilize Adobe's Experience Manager solution as the content repository that provides for version control, security, workflow management, and then the distribution of the changes to downstream systems. To meet the data compliance requirements for the technical manuals, AEM provides native integration with Adobe's technical document content authoring tool called FrameMaker. FrameMaker is a client-based tool that provides the data specification authoring requirements for this particular documentation requirement needs. We see the benefits as ensuring that the change request process is maintained through audit logs and control of workflow for submitted changes. It ensures the organization has the most current version of the technical manual for technicians. The ability to transmit just the delta changes made to the technical manuals and not the entire document. In other words, reduce the amount of bandwidth required to transmit those changes to downstream systems. The ability to generate multiple outputs for desired end user consumption, whether that be PDF or whether that be HTML files to view on mobile devices. And then finally, able to secure that content so that only authorized users have access to that content. If need be, we can revoke that document or modify users who have access to that document dynamically in a persistent fashion. If we look at the workflow that we'll walk through on the demonstration, you have a series of personalities involved in this workflow change process. You have an initiator who will initiate a request by inputting instructions for the request or submitting comments made to the existing documentation. That request is then submitted to a series of reviewers. The reviewers will review the change and then validate that change and then submit that on to the editor. The editor then will update those changes in FrameMaker, apply those changes, and save that back into the repository. Upon completing that, an approver will receive those changes from the editor, validate that the changes have been made, and then upon approval, will then send those changes and the delta changes to downstream systems to update their technical manuals. So let's look at the demonstration. What you're looking at is the interface for AEM. As the initiator, I log into the AEM system to submit a change request. Now, as this initiator, I have access to these two, what we refer to as projects. Projects are collaborative spaces where I can initiate a workflow, in this case to initiate a workflow for a document change request. So I will click on this project, and when I log into the project, I see three cards presented to me. These cards represent various information about the particular project or workflow that we're involved with. Assets represent any of the technical assets or documentations related to the CH57B C Ranger. The Workflow tab allows me to initiate a workflow that are assigned to this particular project. And then Tasks allows us to assign ad hoc requests or see individuals that are involved in the workflow process. So if we go ahead and initiate a change request, I can click on the plus sign. And I'm only presented with one particular workflow available to me in this project. And it's a wizard-based workflow, so I can select the option available to me, select Next, and it gives me a series of input screens in which to add content and data related to this workflow. So I'll put in a subject. I can change the category. I might want to select the platform this is related to, and this is a drop-down list that the initiator can select from. Likewise, TMS, and other options that are available to me as well. I may want to select a due date. And this is the basic information required to provide metadata around this workflow. Next, I want to identify the document and the instructions associated with this workflow change. So by selecting the document to be changed, this allows the initiator to go and find the source technical manual that currently resides in the repository. So in this case, I will select the Flight Manual TH57B. That's the current active document. And here I can type in instructions for the change that I would like, or I have the ability to upload this PDF, this document in PDF format with comments that the initiator has provided. So as an example, here is the manual that we want to make changes to. As I scroll down, I will see various comments that have been placed on this document. So here are the comments that have been added based on the initiator's request. So I have 2 comments on this document. I can go ahead and choose to upload that file, and here's that file. Now upon submission, what will happen is we will take that PDF document, extract out the comments, and then pass that along as part of the workflow process. So I hit create, and here we've initiated the workflow request. Now I'm going to portray myself as the other participants as part of this workflow request. And to do that, when I look at the tasks available to me, what this will show me is the current workflow that's in process. You can see the metadata associated here, and the next participant in the workflow request. In this case, it's the PM review. Now the PM review and every person involved in the workflow will receive either an email notification, or when they're logged into the system, they will receive a notification through a notification box. Here you can see they have 6 requests waiting for them, and this would identify all their activities that they need to perform work on. But as the PM, I will go ahead and open up this request. We can see the instructions that we've extracted out the comments here. So these are the comments that were part of the PDF, part of the instructions. And then here's a snapshot, a thumbnail of the document that was submitted. And then here's all the metadata associated with it. As the PM, I could add a comment. I'm reviewing request. Looks good. And I can add that comment. When the PM has been able to review the document, then go ahead and hit complete. Select from the various workflow options. In this case, it's approve or reject. And complete that process. Now this will go into the review process, to the next person in line. In this case, we're sending it to a group. The group is called TA Review. In that group, there are multiple users within that group, and this will automatically assign it to an individual, either randomly or whoever takes ownership of that can claim it and then work on it at their as they're available. In this case, Ashley will go ahead and claim it. She can look at the comments, see the comments. If Ashley likes, she can review this document. She can click on the thumbnail and get a review of that document and view this in a PDF format. So here's the document PDF format, the current version. Review that and look at the change. And she can complete as well. And this forwards this on to the next person in the approval chain. In this case, it's the SAE review. So the SAE will receive this. They receive a notification as well. They can review the changes. They can review the comments. Once they're satisfied with the suggested changes, they can go ahead and approve. Say I concur and send this on. So now what's happened in the review workflow is we've had the initiator, it's gone through a review process, and now we're in the editor's phase at this point. So the editors receive that request. They can click on the request, see the instructions for changing the document, and at this point, this is where the editor would use FrameMaker as the authoring tool to make those changes. So as the editor, I open my FrameMaker tool. I'm able to locate that source document in the repository and check that out. So let me go ahead and check that out. So we pull the latest version of the document out of the repository, and I begin to make the changes that were suggested in the instructions. So here I put my instructions here. Note, this document supersedes previous documents. And if they so choose, they can make other additions as well. So if they have other requests that come in, I may want to, for example, remove this section here. as part of this document and delete that out. So here I'm the editor, I've made my changes, I'm going to go ahead and close out. I will save that version and I'll check it back in. Now when I check back in, several things are going to happen. Workflows are kicked off in the AEM environment, and we're invoking FrameMaker now to go ahead and convert those changes to the various formats that we're requesting. So that's going to go ahead and generate the various desired formats, output formats that end users want to interact with. So that will go through that process. At this point, the editor can go through and approve or complete their workflow process. So here we'll go ahead and complete. I've made the changes requested from the instructions. And now we'll go ahead and complete that workflow process. Now, the final person in the approval chain is here we are as the approver. The approver will review the changes, do a comparison between what was proposed and what was changed, and if they accept, it will then be published down to downstream systems. So here I'm the PM. I will go ahead and show changes. I can look at the instructions. I can say show changes. I have the ability to say highlight changes, and this will show me a side-by-side comparison of what the current version is on the left-hand side versus the proposed changes on the right-hand side. So we can see content that was added is highlighted in green, and any content that's been deleted is highlighted in red. So I can see what the changes, the proposed changes versus the current version. I'll see that. Close the screen. Go ahead and complete this action and approve. Now when I do that, that's going to go ahead and transmit the changes to the downstream systems, just the delta changes that have been made. The way we represent that, the way we can show that is we have a log file that can show the changes that are being submitted to downstream systems. So if I open up that log file, here I can see the bytes associated with the changes made to the document. In this case, these are the number of bytes that are going to be sent as opposed to the entire document to the other systems that are receiving the updates made to the technical documentation. This limits the amount of bandwidth required to send these various updates out. Now on the receiving end, the receiving system will receive the changes, and if we review those on the receiving end, here it is on the receiving end. So this simulates a downstream system. I can click on that document, review the PDF, and here I can see those changes have been made. Right. Likewise, we generate HTML5 output for this for mobile devices to view. If we look at that, what's been generated, here is the HTML version of that manual. Here's the HTML version of that manual. Here's the change that was made. And this is responsively designed so that regardless what device I'm on, this will adjust itself accordingly. The final thing that we do is to secure the content. And we do that by using digital rights management within the AEM Forms solution stack. So here's the document that was generated. I can go to open this up. I'm prompted for my username and password. And as I open up this document, you can see that as the user, my username is applied as a watermark along the back. We can see the change has been made. We can see the security permissions this individual has. For example, this individual is not allowed to print, change the document, so on. So they have limited control over the document. And if they were to change positions or not have access to the latest version, we can revoke this document or change the permissions to this document dynamically on the fly for them. So this concludes the demonstration for using AEM as the platform for supporting technical documentation change request. The benefits providing ensuring the integrity of the change request through audit logs and control through the various users in the workflow process. Ensures the organization has the most current version. The ability to transmit just the delta changes made to a document during updates as opposed to the whole document. Generate multiple outputs, PDF, HTML5, and so on. And then digital rights management to secure that content.